Hi, my name is Irina. I'm originally from Ukraine and I've been living in Jamaica since 2014. It is difficult for a Jamaican to relocate to other countries, while for a foreigner to come and live in Jamaica must be very easy, right? Well, let's have a look and you be the judge. With this video, I'd like to explain how to move to Jamaica as a foreigner and share my story as an example. Most people who move to Jamaica either have relatives in Jamaica or they are foreign nationals who are married to a Jamaican. If you fall into one of these categories, then moving to Jamaica is indeed a comparatively easy task. But unfortunately, none of these options were available to me because no relatives in Jamaica, and I had a little problem with marrying a Jamaican man. I already had a husband who happened to be Ukrainian. The first thing you need to know is where to look for official information, and I'm going to leave all the links below. Number one is Tax Office. Before you do anything in Jamaica, this is the place you need to go to get your TRN, which stands for Taxpayer Registration Number. Even if you're not planning to perform any work in Jamaica, but want to stay for a longer period of time, it's a good idea to have TRN. Number two, Passport Immigration and Citizenship Agency. This is the government entity that controls all these visas. Their website is a wealth of information, so make sure to check it out. And number three, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. These are the people who would issue the work permit for you, that is, if you're eligible, of course. We'll get to that in a moment. Now, before going into more details, let's first make it very clear how easy it is for a foreigner from the outside to move to Jamaica. To do that, I'd like to compare immigration to Jamaica with some other countries, so please bear with me. If you want to relocate to, say, Canada, there is an immigration program available to anyone. The requirements are pretty strict. You need to have advanced level of English, higher education, and work experience. It's known as Skilled Migrant Program, and the same goes for Australia, New Zealand, and Britain. In fact, these four countries are the easiest to relocate to when it comes to immigration, regardless where you come from. If you have the skills, and that's the trick. But if you do, the whole process will take about 2 years to get a visa that will allow you to get a job right away there when you come. And I say you, assuming you are a Jamaican, because for someone like me, who's Ukrainian, it will take a few years longer. You see, unlike Jamaica, Ukraine is not a part of the British Commonwealth. English is not our native language, and Ukrainians do not usually have any relatives, not even distant ones, in any of these countries. So we don't get any of these bonus points for the so-called adaptability. Having said all that, it would have been still easier for me as a Ukrainian to relocate to any of these countries than to Jamaica, and here is why. Jamaica doesn't have an immigration program. It doesn't matter if you're smart, skilled, experienced, rich, nobody cares. You cannot immigrate to Jamaica or get a citizenship here. Jamaica doesn't even have an investor program. For example, you can pay $150,000 and get a citizenship of Grenada, but not Jamaica. So it's not the question of whether it's easy or difficult to immigrate to Jamaica. For someone like me, it's pretty much impossible. This would have been the end of the video, but I'm in Jamaica, so how did that happen? I began searching for other foreigners who stay in Jamaica, and it turned out that most of them come on visitor's visa. They stay in Jamaica for a certain period of time, usually up to 6 months, and then they have to go back to their home country. So the foreigners who you assume live in Jamaica don't really live here because they cannot really perform any type of work or business or apply for citizenship. Unfortunately, even this option wasn't available to us as Ukrainian citizens because we're only allowed to stay in Jamaica for 30 days. We could have applied for a longer stay on a tourist visa, but then what? It's not really an option, is it? You can temporarily move to Jamaica as an employee, But in order for you to get a visa that would allow you to work in Jamaica, you first need to get a work permit from the Ministry of Labour mentioned earlier. And guess what? You cannot apply for a work permit. It should be done by a company who wants to employ you. And for that company to employ you, it would first have to prove that they cannot find a Jamaican resident who can perform this very same task. It's not easy to prove. It's expensive to hire a foreigner because you have to cover work permit, accommodation, and flight, unless this is absolutely necessary, like they really cannot find a Jamaican to do the job. No company would ever bother getting a work permit for you. It's simply not profitable. So it's not the companies and businesses, it's the Jamaican government that protects Jamaican job market to make sure that Jamaicans get the job first. I wonder if Jamaicans know that. Obviously, the option of arranged employment wasn't available either to me or to my husband. And there was no point in looking for a job in Jamaica anyway, because of the reasons I'm going to share later. So to sum up, what are the options for permanent residence in Jamaica? Number 1 is marriage to a Jamaican. Number 2 is employment. That is, if you can get a work permit and work in Jamaica for at least 3 years, you can then apply for a permanent residence visa and see if it's going to be approved. And number 3 is retirement. It turns out that if you have a form of regular approved passive income, like a pension, you can apply to retire in Jamaica and get permanent residence based on that. It's sort of designed for older people initially, with returnees in mind to make it easier for them to return home, but you can retire at any age really. The main point is the source of passive income that you can then lavishly spend in Jamaica. But as you can guess, unfortunately, this wasn't the option for us either. When I was talking about the situation of how I would like to live in any country in the world and move around, it probably gave people the idea that I'm this person, who got lucky and I can just move anywhere I want. Guys, I was born in the Soviet Union. Do you know what it means? It means not only I was not allowed to go to any country because I had to get a visa from that country, it also meant I had to get a visa from the Soviet Union to be able to leave that country. That means I had to get 2 visas. Thank God the Soviet Union broke up. But anyway, I just wanted to make this point because people probably got the idea that I was just, born with that kind of, just go to Bahamas, just get to Canada, just go anywhere. I wish. Actually, because I was born in the Soviet Union, the country behind the Iron Curtain, I realized very quickly that there was only one way you could get out of that place. And that way was education. And I'm not talking about studying at school, I'm talking about self-education. I mean, you had to excel, at least at a few things, in order to even think that you might have a chance to be able to apply for an opportunity to be allowed to be assessed. Anyway, I'll go into that in a different video. Permanent residence wasn't something I could apply for in Jamaica. That's why I decided to check one last option. And this is the option I would usually go for if I want to stay for a longer period of time in any country I want. I did it in England, in the United States, in Egypt, and in Jamaica. This is the key, and it's called studying. Come to a country as a student and actually learn from the people. It's very good for the country because you're contributing to the economy of this country. And it's very good for you too, because this is the only way you can learn a lot about the country in a short period of time. My initial goal was to study in Jamaica for at least 1 year, so I decided to apply for a student visa. And this is when we encountered another problem. As a Ukrainian, you cannot get a visa to Jamaica from Ukraine. There is no Jamaican embassy. So If we wanted to get a student visa to Jamaica, we all had to go to a Jamaican embassy in Germany. And for that, we had to get a visa to Germany first. And for Ukrainians to get visa to Germany back in 2013 was exactly the same as for Jamaicans to get a visa to Germany. Not easy, but it's not like we were going to give up at that stage. So I called the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency in Jamaica, explained my situation, and they were extremely helpful. They said if I had all the documents in place, and there was a long list, I could get a temporary visa when I arrive at the airport. And then I would have to go to their office to get the extension of stay. If I obviously can prove that I have everything they need, including the source of income. And here we're coming to the most important thing, why relocating to Jamaica is pretty much impossible for most people. The reason I keep telling people that it's much easier to relocate to Canada, Australia, and so on, it's because once you get there, you can actually work. So you can save up money or you can borrow money, immigrate to those countries, get a job, and pay back. It's not easy, but possible. However, if you want to come to Jamaica, you need a source of income. And I'm not talking about saving up money, not about getting rich. I mean regular source of income. You see, the main goal of my life from the age of 8 was to live in a country with no winter. So when I was 16, I already knew that A, I had to become fluent in English no matter what. B, I had to create a project that would be giving me some form of income no matter where I lived. It's a long story, but to cut the story short, it took me 6 years to become really fluent in English, another 12 years to create a small business, which is currently my online school, 1 year to actually sort out all the documents and prepare them, and 6 years living in Jamaica, and I still have no citizenship. If you are an entrepreneur and you want to create your own business, you can register a Jamaican company as a foreigner in Jamaica. The rules are pretty clear. You have to run your business here, you have to create job places here, and you have to pay taxes here. So why don't we see this advertised everywhere? Come and do business in Jamaica. Well, this is because income tax is 25%. It's not very high when compared to some states or Western Europe, but it is pretty high when compared to other Caribbean countries, some with zero tax rate. But what people don't realize is that the whole system in Jamaica is getting really well structured for small and medium-sized businesses. Like in my case now, company's office, banking, and tax office, I do all of that online. I don't go there anymore. Anyway, let's keep it relevant for this video. If you are a foreigner and you have a Jamaican company registered in your name, you are then able to apply for a work permit to work for your own company. This is done in several stages, and for your work permit to be approved, you have to provide the whole list of documents again. But before you ask, no, you cannot get a work permit in the name of your company and then get a job elsewhere. Work permit is only valid per position per company. I don't want to go into details now. I will make a separate video about running business in Jamaica, which is hopefully going to be useful to Jamaicans first of all. I'd be happy to share information on how to register things, how to access funds. So if you're interested, don't forget to hit that bell not to miss that video when it comes out. If you're applying for a student visa or a work visa, if you have a work permit, all your family members are allowed to get the so-called dependent visa, which doesn't allow them to do anything in the country except staying with you. Can your children study then? At a private school, yes. Public school, it depends. I'll be making a video about schools in Jamaica probably next year. To conclude, your options to move to Jamaica in the order of difficulty. Number 6, get a visitor's visa and then move back and forth. Number 5, visa through marriage or repatriation if you have relatives. Number 4, retirement visa if you have a passive form of income. Number 3, student visa if you have a source of income and ready to study with no right to work. Number 2, work permit through pre-arranged employment. And number 1, work permit through running a personal company. As for us, when my student visa ran out, I registered a company and transferred my online business from Ukraine to Jamaica and began paying taxes here. Just to give you an idea, the application for the work permit costs about $120 and if your work permit is approved, it will cost you 195,000 Jamaican dollars per year. You can apply for either 1 year or up to 5 years, but then for 5 years it would cost you almost $1 million. Now, we've been living in Jamaica for 6 years. We cannot apply for Jamaican citizenship because Ukraine doesn't allow dual citizenship. So it would be breaking Ukrainian law if we do. We still cannot apply for any job in Jamaica and we can only work for our own company, which is perfectly fine with us because that's what we want to do. If you're entrepreneurial and you want to learn from the locals and ready to give your talents and skills in return, to find opportunities and develop them, create job places, find Jamaican partners, and work together for mutual benefit to contribute to the country, then it can be a good idea to consider moving to Jamaica as a foreigner. So, what do you think? Is it easy for a foreigner to move to Jamaica? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Irina, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.